Hey folks, y'all tired of those martial characters running into battle, leaving the casters do the damage, cast all those control spells, keep concentration going? Oh yeah, those fighters and barbarians need heals too, right? Well, today we're going to change all that because on Dragons and Dice, we're going to build 3 player concepts for caster tanks. And that's not tanky casters. These are meant to be the main tank of the party out there giving a beating and taking one while they do it. Let's check them out. Welcome to Dragons and Dice. So, caster tanks. Seems silly, right? But I feel like with the changes to origin feats and how some of the subclasses have been reworked, that we can make some really fun and effective out of the box tanks. 2 of these are going to be almost full casters, and the third one's a hybrid barbarian that I think would be the most fun of the group to play. And what we're going to do is we'll go through, we'll touch on the spells that you have to make the characters work, the features we're taking, how we're doing stats and skill points, and the general feel of what you should be doing in combat and how you're going to be tanking for the party. So let's build our first tank. And we're going to be a sorcerer, the least tanky class of all. So we're going to start off this by being a dwarf. And this will give us a nice little boost to our HP as we get that dwarven resilience and dwarven toughness. We'll also be resistant to poison, have advantage on poison saves, which is always great because no one wants to attack with disadvantage. As I said, we're going to be a sorcerer, but we're going to start off fighter because we really need to be able to use shields to get that armor class up where we want. And we're going to get the same constitution saving throw that's important for us that we would have got from sorcerer. But the fighter just gives us a little bit too much off the rip to pass on going there first. And before we're really able to tank, we're going to need to get to our subclass in sorcerer because that's going to be a big part of this build. So the fighter will kind of fill that first 4-level gap since we start off there. Plus, the full D10 HP off the start gives us, a great little 14 HP. And at level 1, we're going to grab the protection fighting style. And yeah, defense would be great and seem really on point with this. But here's the thing. We're going to be building this character unarmored. And so here soon, it would be a complete waste. And, we're not going back to fighter for a while. So we can't really switch it either until we do. And with fighter, we also get 3 weapon masteries. I took quarterstaff, heavy crossbow, and whip. Whip is nice as it's finesse. The quarterstaff, we'll have to do a little work to get to use as our weapon since our strength is going to be a dump stat. And crossbow is just nice to have because it has push property. That gives us topple, push, and slow. That's a good mix to have in your bag. And for the background, I'm going to do a custom one since we really want to boost our charisma and our dex. And we want the tough feat. But that combo doesn't exist. So, kind of make the custom one. If your DM doesn't allow this, farm will work. You can put +2 into con and 1 into wisdom. And that'll give you the tough feat that you need because that's the most important thing here. But working ahead, I'm going to assume that we can do a custom one. And I'm going to go +2 into dex and +1 into charisma. And for our stats at this point, we'll do point buy. That's going to be an 8 strength. That's our dump stat. We'll do a 15 dex +2 for a 17. We'll do a 14 con, an 8 intelligence, a 10 wisdom. Can't dump that one too much. You have to make too many saves. And then a 15 charisma +1 for a 16. So it'll give us a nice little start to our stats for what we want to be able to do. Level 2, it's time to get to sorcering. And we get all the goodies here. So we get to pick cantrips and spells. The first cantrip is going to be Blade Ward. And this is awesome now because it's an early level concentration spell, but we can just force monsters to take 1d4 off of attacks. It's kind of like having 2.5 extra armor class when you think about it because that's what the average roll is going to be. And it just comes off their attack rolls every time they try to hit you. And so it is our concentration. We'll use that early and on. And the next one that we really want to have is True Strike. And this is going to be nice because now we have the ability to attack with our charisma, with our quarterstaff. And it'll go up as cantrips do, so we can, get that in the mix, which is good. And if we're using our whip, it's finesse, and we can just use our dex for that if we, want to be attacking melee style. Which is going to be nice for us as a sorcerer because we'll be able to attack with our whip as an action. And then we could quicken True Strike to hit with our quarterstaff. Hopefully, slowing and toppling too. And for more optimization, what I would probably do is quicken the, cantrip attack first and then whip. That way we get, topple them, they fall. We get advantage on the whip attack. Be really nice. And other cantrips we're going to grab up, I'll grab Sorcerer's Burst and then probably Shocking Grasp. That way we can take away opportunity attacks. And for first level spells, two no-brainers if you're going to be a tank. We're grabbing Absorb Elements and Shield. And feel pretty good about being a frontline caster, even at level 2 with, that skill set of, we've got fighter HP and we got tough feature and the dwarven feature. Got a good little bit of HP already starting out. Level 3, we're going to be a sorcerer 2. And if you want here, you could grab up some mage armor. We probably would, but we wouldn't be casting that on ourselves. It'd be kind of utility to keep a squishier caster alive. And the other one that I'm going to grab right here is False Life, and that's going to just give us an even bigger HP pool to work with. It's an extra 2d4 plus 4, so at worst 6 and on average 9. So pretty nice little extra bump to HP. We're up to 33 at this point at level 3. And we can add another average of 9 on top of that. So, 42 average HP right now with our False Life up. We're looking pretty good. And it's about to get even better because we also get meta magic here. And the two that I'm going to take are the Quicken Spell and the Extended Spell. And this is going to give us the option to use that to double the time that a spell lasts. And the most important thing on it is it gives us advantage on the concentration save. Plus our proficiency in con saves is going to make us really good at being able to keep our control spells that we're going to be using to manipulate the battlefield. Being able to use that extended spell on the ones that we're casting, we really need to keep that concentration locked down. Level 4, we are a Sorcerer 3 and we get a subclass, and this is where it gets fun. We're going with the Draconic Sorcery. And we get 3 HP right now, and then each time we level up, we get an extra one. So at level 4 right now, we have 45 HP on the fixed value. 43 if you're playing average. I don't know what your table does, but we're just going with the fixed one. We've got +4 from being a dwarf. We got +3 from our dragon sorcery, +8 from our con mod, and +8 from the tough feat. And we're casting a spell that's giving us an average of 9. So at level 4, we're going to be starting the battle as a sorcerer with 52 HP. And at level 4, being a dragon sorcerer, we also get an awesome unarmored defense. That is our dex mod plus our charisma mod. So with our shield, we also have a 17 AC at this point. And this feels really good. I mean, we're, 3 levels of sorcerer. We've got big boy HP, big boy armor class. Feels real nice. But let's grab up some spells here too. And here's how I want us to be tanking. We're going to be going in and trying to lock someone down with a concentration spell, and then slow and topple the others and to try to keep them on us. And so first up, I'm going to take Suggestion. It's as good a control spell as you can get for a single target at this level. And then the other one I'm going to grab is Arcane Vigor, so we can have some nice bonus action heal if we need to take care of that ourselves. And then at level 5, we're Sorcerer 4. Now we get a feat, and since we are tanking, I want to grab up Resilient, and I'm going to take Dex. And this is going to give us all the physical saves. We've got strength, dex, and con saves now with proficiency in those. And that puts our dex up to 18, so we also get extra AC. And this just feels really good. All those dex saves we need to make for those attack spells, we now get to add our proficiency bonus to. We get another cantrip here. Pick your favorite. And then we get another spell also. And I'm going to grab the Hold Person spell. It's great if the monsters are humanoid. Auto crit's awesome when you get it cast. Level 6, we're Sorcerer 5, and we get 3rd level spells. And I'm thinking the first one that we're going to take is got to be Counterspell. It's even more ways for us to keep bad stuff from happening. And the other one that I want to take is Slow. And Slow may be one of the best early game control spells now. -2 to their AC and to their dex saves. They don't get to take reactions. And there's 25% chance that if they have to do a somatic component, that the spell won't work. And their speed is halved. It is just crazy. If we knock somebody prone now and then take away any more of their speed, they can't even stand up on their turn. Just sounds great. I mean, we're just going to go in with slow people, try to topple them, hit them with a whip. It just sounds awesome. We also get Sorcerer's Restoration here, and we can use the points more each day, and we can also, from being a dragon sorcerer now, cast Fly and Fear. Good utility to fly around the battlefield if we need to, And fear is another great control spell. So I'm feeling really good about where we're at. Level 7, we're sorcerer still, and that means we get elemental affinity. And I'm going to pick fire so that if we cast fire spells, we can add our charisma mod to the damage once a time. And we also get fire resistance. So now we have resistance to fire and poison, which are two pretty common in the monster manual. And I'm going to grab up a couple damage spells here. I mean, how about that one they call Fireball? You may have heard of it. And then we're also going to grab probably the best level 3 control spell, Hypnotic Pattern, some awesome AoE. And we are just such a pain in the butt for our DMs now. Level 8, we're going to get 4th level spells. And let's just, with the control feeling that we have, I'm taking Wall of Fire here. And I will probably be using this a lot to partition off parts of the battlefield. And we'll probably use Extended Spell to make sure that it just doesn't get dropped. So you can, partition people away, put the Extended Spell on it. You're locked down on concentration. At level 9, we're going to be a Sorcerer 8, and we get another feat, and I really want the Spell Sniper since we're up in the mix all the time. That's going to get our Charisma up to 16, better damage and saves. We have that nice 19 armor class, and we can now cast up close, ignore cover if we do. So feels really good not to have disadvantage if we want to cast a range spell while we're in melee range. We also get a couple more spells. Let's grab up Charm Monster, as it's not concentration and it's one more form of control, especially if you can sneak it in as the battle's starting and get somebody kind of away from the group charmed and not in the mix. And then at level 10, I feel like we have to hop back to Fighter right here for at least one level right now. There's so much there for us. Action Surge and Second Wind are just waiting. Those are always great to have. So, at level 10 now, we're up to 106 AP. We have 19 armor class. We're proficient in strength, dex, and con saves. And if we want to upcast or false life now, we can get up to 25 temp HP from it on average. And that doesn't require concentration. And we're chock-a-block full of control spells. So it feels really good with, running into battle and you've got around 135 HP. You got tons of spell slots. You got meta magic to use. You got an action surge if you want to make a couple more attacks. If you want to really, if he was to miss, you want to get another whip attack in, see if you can sap some speed away. Feels really good where we're at. Level 11 is tricky because now I'm kind of torn. Do I want a fighter subclass or do I want 5th level sorcerer spells? And the answer is yes. But I think I'd go sorcerer first here. There's just too many amazing level 5 spells. Hold Monster, we're going to grab that. And then the one that I want the most right now is Synaptic Static. This thing does massive psychic damage. And then if the target fails its save, it is Muddled Thoughts, and it has to subtract 1d6 from attack rolls, ability checks, and concentration saves. That alone is awesome, but the best part of this spell, it's an intelligence save, which is the one save that most monsters don't really do well at. So, like having that one. Level 12, let's get that fighter subclass now. And it feels like Eldritch Knight is the low-hanging fruit just for the spell slots to, keep that going up a bit. But since our Eldritch Knight spells would have to attack with intelligence and we dump that, not really a viable option. So the one I went with is Battlemaster. And that's going to give us an extra proficiency from the fighter proficiency list. Just pick the one you like. And then we also get 3 maneuvers, and I'm going with defensive ones here. I'm going to grab Parry. It's nice damage reduction if we get hit. I'll grab Bait and Switch as a good way to help other people that up there in the front with me. And then I'm going to give Rally for some nice temp HP for party members. And I think I want to stay here for just a little bit longer, and we're going to grab 2 more levels. That way we, get another feat, and we're going to bump our Cha up to 18, and we have a nice 20 AC and 150 HP at level 13. And then at 14, we get that extra attack from being a fighter level 5. Level 15, we're going back to Sorcerer, and we are now a Sorcerer 10. We get more meta magic options here, and I'm taking the Subtle spell because maybe we get the opportunity to throw out a couple control spells before the battle starts if we can do it quietly. And that's just much better for us. If we can charm somebody and then put a hold monster on somebody without going, you've taken 2 people out before you've even rolled initiative. Subtle Spell gives you that option. I'm also going to take the Twin Spell because same reason, it's an extra form of control, and that's kind of how we're tanking here. And then for the other spell slot that we get at this point, pick whichever one's your favorite. I'd probably go with Bigby's Hand just because I love it and it's fun, but that's kind of up to you. And then at level 16, we're a sorcerer level, and we're going to get a 6th level spell. And let's just end fights before they start. I will subtly be casting Mass Suggestion. Simple enough. Everyone just go back home. It's such an overpowered spell. Great to have. And at level 17, we're Sorcerer 12. We get another feat. And yeah, that charisma being there at 18 is killing me. So let's just max that out. And so now we have 21 AC and we have 179 HP and we're wearing a robe. Feels awesome. This has got like some really cool flavor of like, if I was playing this, I would just be like, I'd dodge everything. And you're like a super fast, like Zen Master Man. And level 18, we're Sorcerer 13, and that is a 7th level spell. And I'm going to take Reverse Gravity. I love this spell because depending on where you cast it, there has to be things for the party to be able to grab onto, for the monsters to be able to grab onto, for them to get to make a save. So if you're just in like a perfectly smooth floored area and you cast Reverse Gravity, it just happens. There's nothing for them to grab. And then, how much fun is it to have those baddies just flying up and down in the air? And it's just awesome. It also doesn't have a size restriction, which means that you can use this to control really big and gargantuan monsters. Great spell to have. I mean, we're level 18. We're going to be fighting some big stuff. This is a good way of being able to put something just out of reach, way up in the sky. And then level 19, I'm going to go back to Fighter for 1 level so that we can get that extra feat. And that's important because if you get a feat at 19 or 20 now, you get an epic boon. And I love these things. I want them all, but being we are tanking, I think I'm going to take the boon of recovery. I think it is the best one for our tank. We now have 10 D10s that we can roll as bonus actions and heal. And when we would be taken to 0 HP, instead we go to 1, and then we instantly regen half our max HP. And then you also get to boost 1 stat with this. And we're going to boost Wisdom up to 12 just to help us saves a bit. But that regen is really awesome. I mean, we have 200 HP at this point, and if we hit 0, it's just boom, we're back to 100. And then on the next roll, if we wanted to, we could roll 10 D10s and heal ourselves. I mean, that's an average of 55. It's like we have a 355 HP pool with just this ability and our stats before we cast any spells to boost it or false life or anything like that. And we're a total control freak on the battlefield. This just seems like a really good boon to put onto this character. And now for the max level, we're still a sorcerer, and we're sorcerer 14 now, and that means we get a set of dragon wings from being a dragon sorcerer, and that just is fun and awesome at all times. And then we cap out at 210 HP here, and we didn't even max con out. If you did rolled stats and got a monster rolls on stuff and could boost that con a bit, you could add another 20, 40 HP to this character pretty easy. But I felt like Dex and Charisma were better because of the way that the new unarmored defense works for these sorcerers. And it just feels really good to be a frontline Gish tank with tons of spells. We have a lot of control. We get 2 attacks, and we can quicken a spell and as a bonus action, or we can quicken a 3rd attack if we wanted to use True Strike. We have Battle Master maneuvers, like I said, tons of control spells. And we come on the line by like level 4 as a sorcerer tank, and we don't really end up that multi-classed. I mean, if you were playing this to level 10, you could play level 8 sorcerer and 2 fighter and just be owning the battlefield with, good armor class, good HP, and lots of control. So I think it's interesting with this new dragon sorcerer that you can make a pretty viable sorcerer tank that could hold its own and still be a ton of fun to play and a complete pain in the DM's deck. Now for our next build, I feel like I've kind of become a bit of a fighter junkie. Their first 2 levels are just so good, and shield and weapon proficiencies, they're just awesome, and it's a lot of fun to grab that stuff and have it to use. But what if we don't want to go fighter and made a tank that was comprised only of casters? And so this one's going to be simply for my gnomies because I'm going rock gnome and I'm going to take charisma for their spell casting and their lineage spells. And then I'm going to do a custom background here. And I'm going to pick charisma as a spell casting also. And the two cantrips I'm grabbing, I'm going to grab Shocking Grasp for some close-up work. I'm going to grab Mind Sliver for that int save as my first two cantrips. And then the spell that I want is the Shield spell for that first level spell. And then for our stats, we're going to go +1 in Dex and +2 into Charisma. And amazingly enough, I'm actually going standard array as it'll give us what we want without missing out on too much stuff. So it's going to be 8 strength. We dump that stat. 13 Dex +1 for a 14 Constitution, 10 Intelligence, 12 Wisdom, and then a 15 Charisma +2. And for our starting class, we're going to go Warlock. And that'll give us proficiency in Wisdom and Charisma saving throws. And the build for this is going to be a Lock Bard mix. And if you went Bard, you would get Charisma and Dex. So you can kind of pick that if you want, a better save against damage spells. But I feel like a Wisdom save is more valuable than a Dex save because if you get controlled, then you can't do anything to manipulate the battlefield. And that's what this character is going to be about. So, try to keep your facilities. I picked Wisdom save. If you feel like Dex is more important, you could start off Bard and then just swap the levels around a bit. But at Warlock 1, we get a couple proficiencies. You can grab what you like, but we also get Invocations. And oh man, do I love getting this at level 1. And yeah, we're grabbing Pact of the Blade, and it's just so nice that right off the bat, we're going to be using our Charisma for our attacks at level 1. And so spells, first cantrip, we're taking Eldritch Blast, and the other one that we're going to be taking is Blade Ward, as it's a nice, good early concentration spell for some damage reduction. And then the first two spells, I'm going to grab Armor of Agathis for a little bit of temp HP and a little snapback cold damage if you get hit. And then Bane. And honestly, I'll probably concentrate on Bane instead of Blade Ward, as, it affects multiple people. And the Blade Ward only affects us if we get hit. And here's the thing, as a Warlock, our AC is going to be real crappy until we get multi-classed and get medium armor and shields. But what I want to take is one more level of lock before we jump, because early game HP is really nice, and we get a whole lot at the next Warlock level. So at level 2, Warlock, we get 2 more Invocations, and I'm taking Lessons of the first ones, and we're grabbing the Tough Feet. And then the other one that I'm going to grab is Fiendish Vigor, and it gives us a boosted False Life for some OP HP at this level. And it scales pretty good too, as we get to cast it once for free, and it's cast with our Pack Magic as we do. So let's cast it that one time for free. When you use that spell this way, it's always max. So that's 12 temp HP at this level. We've got 21 HP right now, and then an extra 12 temp HP. And at level 2, we have 33 HP. That's pretty good tanking ability right there, just in the pool that you have. And then we also get another spell. I'm going to grab up Charm Person. It's not concentration and some decent control. But now at level 2, it's time to multi-class into Bard for a bit. So level 3, Bard 1, and yay, we get Bardic Inspiration, a skill, and an instrument. And I'm taking the Dulcimer. That way I can always just be like, let's say he's not playing the Dulcimer anymore. Shout out to Firefly. And if you don't get that reference, go watch Firefly. Anyway, for the skill, I'm going to grab Stealth, as it may let us get, a surprise round, and get the drop on somebody, or cast a spell or something. It's just one of those that we can use early. And then we also get 2 more cantrips here and 4 first level spells. Cantrips, just pick the ones you like. The only one I would probably suggest taking that would be nice to have is the Starry Wisp cantrip. That way, if you fight something that's invisible, it's like a single target fairy fire. You can see it. As for the first level spells, we're going to take Fairy Fire for some AoE advantage. And if we don't need to concentrate on protection, it's a good way to cast, give your party advantage. We'll take Long Strider for extra speed, Command for some concentration-free control, and Healing Word, because if you get a chance to have it, it's a great way to bring somebody back with a ranged bonus action heal. If you have that option on your spell list, you should always take it. Level 4, we're Bard 2, and we get 2 expertise. And since we're concerned with tanking, I'm going to take Intimidation and Stealth. Who knows, maybe your DM lets you make Intimidation checks and, frighten people away. But those are the two that I think have the most benefits in combat. We also are Jack of all trades now, and we get another spell slot. I would probably grab Color Splay for the 1 turn blind if they fail. It's kind of situational, but it's a cone, and there's a chance you could hit a bunch of people with it and kind of negate the party for 1 round. Level 5, we get a subclass, and this time we are going Valor Bard. For this helps us so much in keeping people alive with their Bardic Inspiration. It lets people use them like a shield now. They can roll it and add it to their armor class for that hit, and that is just awesome. Or they can use it to pile on some damage, but honestly, if you're tanking and your casters are getting hit and they're using their Bardic Inspiration to add a d10 of damage instead of using it like a shield not to get hit, just quit giving it to them. It's made to keep people alive, not for a little bit extra dice damage. We also get the ability here to wear medium armor and shields, and this is huge for us. We're going to throw on some scale mail and a shield. We'll have a nice 18 AC at level 5 with 48 HP, and that's before we cast our False Life for an extra, good chunk. Our Pack Magic spells are still at level 1 right now, so it's just the extra 12, but still, 60 HP at level 5, not a bad average. So, we also have the shield spell that we took from our feat. It's kind of important on this build because you don't get options for that from a bard or from the warlock, so you kind of got to go magic initiate wizard to grab up that shield spell. Really handy to have. And we also get a couple more spells here from our bard thing. I'm going to grab Lesser Restoration. It's a great way to, help out, and good old suggestion for a level 2 spell control, always nice. Level 6, we're going back to Warlock. This will bump our Pack Magic spell slots to level 2, and more importantly, we get a subclass. And we are going with the Archfey Patron, and this is such a cool class and an interesting way that it'll give you ability to tank. We get a cool spell list. It's got Calm Emotions, Fairy Fire, Misty Step, Phantasmal Force, and Sleep, all pretty good. And now when we get back to Bard, we can drop Fairy Fire and pick up something else too. But the ability that makes this such a good tanking class is the Steps of the Fae. We can now Misty Step for free, Charisma mod times per day, and then we can either give out temp HP in the form of 1d10, which is nice, but more importantly, and this is the one that's interesting, any creature that was in 5 feet of where we left has to make a wisdom save or have disadvantage on any attack rolls against anyone but us. This is so strong. It's like a soft taunt. And it also lets you put away. If we had movement left, we could, walk in 20 feet, attack, a group of monsters. If we get in the middle of 3 of them, we Misty Step away as a bonus action and move 10 more feet. If they only had 40 foot of or 30 foot of movement, they couldn't even get to us, and anyone they hit besides us would be with disadvantage. I mean, it's just so scrummy. It's just awesome. And let's just stay at lock and level up some pack spells here. Now we're going to go, Warlock 4 and its feat. And we're going to take Warcaster right now and go ahead and have that in our pocket because it's so good to have advantage on concentration saving throws. We also get a cantrip now and pick what you like with that. And then you get a second level spell. And I think I would grab Mirror Image just as a nice chance of these people are now going to be most likely focusing on us. We're going to have a concentration spell up trying to control someone, and they're going to have disadvantage if they don't hit us. And, having Mirror Image, it just gives us a good chance of not getting hit. And then the other spell I'm going to grab right now is Darkness. And that's kind of going to be more of a oh crap button, but it's always good to have an escape plan, and Darkness can kind of give you that if you need to. Level 8, we're going Lock 5, and I want a lot of these invocations, or a lot of these spells, but the one that we are going to take the most is Counterspell. We're really good at making melee people miss at this point, and this gives us something to use against casters. And we get 2 more invocations. I'm getting Thirsting Blade so that we can get a second attack, and we'll swap this out when we get second attack from Valor Bard, and then probably swap it back in when we get third attack from Warlock. So this is kind of interesting little back and forth class because they kind of step on each other a lot, but they complement each other a bunch too. And then I'm going to also take Repelling Blast, and I think this is going to be nice because now we can run in, teleport out, and then Eldritch Blast people and push them away, and now they can't get to us, and they have disadvantage if they hit anyone other than us. And it just seems like some really good way of manipulating the battlefield. So, the way I'm playing this guy right now is like, we're not bad. We got 18 armor. We got decent HP, but the real gem in our tanking ability is control spells. We're mostly casting control spells on the first round, giving out Bardic Inspiration. Second turn, we're in the mix, casting Eldritch Blast or attacking twice while concentrating on the first spell. And then we're using our bonus actions to Misty Step away and keep everyone, focused on us. And we have advantage on concentration saving throws. And the reason I took a gnome is we also have advantage on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws. And with proficiency to boot in wisdom and charisma, I mean, we're really not going to be getting controlled ourselves a lot. We have a really good feel for, like, we're in charge of the battlefield. We make the rules here. Yeah, you might hit us with, a fireball, but we just have to eat that damage if our dex isn't that great. But you're not going to be, like, locking us down like we are other people. And I really like that. Now I want to go back to Bard and grab up that feat that's just low-hanging fruit right there for us. We'll be a Bard 4 now. And if you were playing a short campaign, you were making this build, and you were going to stop at level 10 or 12, you might just go ahead and max out Charisma right here. But since I know I'm building it to 20, I'm going to take a half feat. I'm going to boost Charisma by 1, and the feat I'm doing that with is Inspiring Leader. And now I get to give out 13 temp HP to up to 6 people. I mean, and that's a lot of temp HP. I can do this each short rest. And that's 78 HP if I do it at the start of the day and then at each short rest. That's just an awesome amount of HP to put into that, pool you can draw from. And then let's go ahead and grab Silence. It's another concentration spell, but when you need it, it's nice to have. And we're a bit concentration heavy, but I mean, hey, control's the name of our game. That's how we're tanking. And then we're using our, sword, rapier, whatever we're using as a packed weapon, and Eldritch Blast to, do our damage. Bard 5, we get 3rd level spells, and I'm also going to drop Fairy Fire at this level so that we can pick up 3 of these. And Hypnotic Pattern is a definite. Slow is too, as I talked about earlier. It is just amazing. And then let's grab Dispel Magic as a nice way to remove some bad spell juju that's out on the battlefield. And it just feels really good. We've got Counterspell earlier, and now we've got Dispel Magic. We're getting to where we're really able to manipulate the casters as well. And let's go ahead and do one more level of Bard right now at 11. Level 11 will be a Bard 6. And we get this amazing Bard feature of extra attack. But the real gem of this, and why it synergizes so well with a Warlock, is we can now trade out one of our attacks for a cantrip. And, oh man, now on our turn, we can run in, attack with our blade, and then fire out 3 Eldritch Blasts. And we can push with each one. And if we do like we did earlier, we can run in, smack somebody, bonus action, teleport out, give disadvantage on anybody but us, and then have 3 Eldritch Blasts to push people away from us. This would just be so much fun to play with. You're just chucking people all over the battlefield. Level 12. Let's go back to Warlock so that we can drop that Thirsting Blade, and let's go nuts on these Eldritch Blasts, since now that we can do them as a part of our normal attack. And we're going to take Agonizing Blast, and that'll give us plus 4 damage to each blast that we do. And then we get 2 more options for our Misty Step and how we can use it. Now we can use it as a reaction. When we get hit, we get to just Misty Step away and still apply one of our Misty Step bonus abilities, and then we get a couple extra of those that we can add now. If we can go invisible, just the normal, not greater invisibility, still good though. Or we can use our Dreadful Step, and they have to make a Wisdom save or take 2d10 psychic damage. And that's really cool, because it's like, if you need extra damage, you can run in. When you get hit, you just poof out, and boom, 2d10 psychic damage. Psychic's not really resisted very well, so that's awesome. And then for our spell that I'm going to grab here, I'm going to grab up Hunger of Hadar. It's just an awesome control spell. It's got some darkness in it. Another good way of like sectioning off good chunks of the battlefield. At level 13, we're a Warlock 7, and we get 4th level Pack Magic spells here. And we get one spell slot, and I'm going to go ahead and just grab Greater Invisibility. And we also get another Invocation, and there isn't really anything here that's going to help with how our tanking goes, but there are a lot of good options. Pack the Chain could be fun. It's nice to have a familiar give you the help action. You can also, with Pact of the Chain, make an attack through it, so it might give it a little bit more range on the battlefield. But what I would probably take at this point would be Eldritch Smite to just have a big nuke in the bag if need be. It's 5d8. It can knock anything huge or smaller prone without a save, and it doesn't cost us any action economy. It just costs us a pack magic spell slot. It's like an old school smite. So you make the attack and you can just throw it on top of it. This would be something I just kept in my bag because you don't want to burn those pack magic slots too often for when I crit. You know, if you crit and you could drop 10d8, that's worth spending the slot for. So that's probably what I would take here. At level 14, we're a Warlock 8. We're going to get a feat and another 4th level spell. I'm going to grab Charm Monster, always nice to have. And for the feat, it has got to be Spell Sniper because now we're casting Eldritch Blast engaged if we want to. And we don't want to be doing that as a disadvantage. And it feels so nice. We have maxed out that Charisma, so that's always a good thing. Getting a +5 to all 3 Eldritch Blast each round. Level 15, let's go Bard 7. And let's grab another level Bard, and we'll get some cool utility stuff. We'll get Counter Charm, and that's just nice because if someone within 30 feet fails a Frightened or Charm save, we can let them re-roll it, and they get advantage on the re-roll. And that's as a reaction. And we get 2 4th level spells. I'm going to grab Polymorph. Fun to play with, great control. And I would love to grab Dimensional Door right here, but since we went a Gnome, we're small, and that means we can't take anything except someone that's small with us, so that's not so great. So I'm going to grab up Hallucinatory Terrain, as it's always fun to play with, and when it works, it's so scrummy seeing that guy thinking he's stepping on a bridge and instead falling into a ravine. Just great, hilarity and hijinks to do on the DM, so who doesn't love that? Level 16, we're going back to Warlock. And there's not much there, just another spell. I'll probably grab Phantasmal Killer for some nice single target DPS and control on that one creature. And level 17, Warlock 10, we get another Eldritch Invocation. And we're going to start working back to get our Thirsting Blade here so that when we get our Warlock 12 level, we can have that third attack. So we'll just swap that out. And as our Pack Magic also goes to level 5. And I'm also going to take Synaptic Static. Same reason I said earlier, it doesn't require concentration. It does a good damage and debuffs monsters. It's just so good. And it's an intelligence save. Just awesome. At level 18, we're Warlock 11. We get Mystic Arcanum, a level 6 spell. And you can kind of pick your favorite. They're not anything here that's going to make a huge difference in how you do it. I'm probably going to grab Create Undead, as it'll add 3 monsters to the mix for us to just like clog the battlefield up with and like be a little bit of a HP sink for the group. And you don't have to concentrate on it, so it doesn't step on that. And at level 19, we're Warlock 12. And oh man, we get a lot here. We're going to take Devouring Blade for an invocation. So now we get to make 3 attacks. And we get an epic boon. And I think it's the Boon of Recovery. It just gives out so much survivability. We get a skill boost to a con in case we get another later, like we go post-campaign, but we're all evened up at this point. So that skill bonus isn't really that nice, but we do get those 10d10s to roll as a bonus action, and we come back at, half health if we die. I mean, right now we're at 174 HP, so that's coming back at 87. That's really cool. That's just nice. So much better than being dead. And level 20, let's grab out another feat from the Bard that's right there. I mean, we're 1 level away from it. Why not grab something up? Resilient Con, extra HP, better saves, and, you can pick your favorites for that last spell slot. But, that wraps up the build. We're, 12 levels lock, 8 levels Bard. We got 3 attacks. We're casting all kinds of control spells, and we have good saves all the way around. We got 203 HP. We got an 18 armor class. That's a bit low, but this, like I said, is all with just base gear. That's not accounting for any kind of magic shields or magic armor. Surely by level 20, you have some. Or you have the grittiest campaign and your DM is really mean. I mean, we got advantage on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saves. And we have proficiency in concentration saves. We teleport like crazy. And if we kill, we just pop back up with half HP. And we're also giving out Bardic Inspiration the whole time. And with our pack magic, our free false life now gives us 32 temp HP. And each short rest, we're giving out 25 temp HP to 6 other players. If we have a 6-man party, that's 450 temp HP that this character is giving out each day. That's nuts. That's not even counting our own false life pool of HP. So I mean 482. So that's just nuts. And it's really cool because we're just 2 caster classes. Now they're both gishy, but they synergize so well that it makes it where we can really just teleport around the battlefield and keep everybody attacking people that aren't us with disadvantage. It seems like a lot of fun to play. I'm a junkie for Misty Step. I think teleportation would be, if I got to pick a life ability, I would just teleport everywhere. It would be awesome. So it'd be on the short list of things to pick. Maybe Wish, obviously, but I digress. So I feel like it's a fun build. Really neat. It's like not a high armor class and not a super high HP class, but it's really good control and really good mobility. Okay, last one for this episode, and this one's going to be a little bit different as we will be a caster but not casting spells in combat, which seems weird. And it's going to be a barbarian druid, and I'm a total homer for sports druids. And under the new rules for 2024, sports druids may be broken. They'll probably get a nerf or have to be re-released with some different things. But with this build, we are going to be able to resist all damage except force by the time we're done. And that just seems really cool. So I'm presenting to you what I'm calling the Shroom of Doom. And we're going to be a barbarian sports druid. And the goal is going to be to have a massive HP pool, huge temp HP pool, and take half damage on everything that happens to us. And we're going to try to do decent damage each round just because sports druids have a really awesome weaponized reaction that they can do all the time. And so starting off, I want to go barbarian because I want some weapons mastery, and I'm going to take the quarterstaff mainly because I like the flavor of it. And if we're raging, we can use it, and if we're not raging, we can use Chalet. And either way, our strength and wisdom will be pretty close the whole time. And we're going to be raging whenever we can because we want those resistances. Plus the topple is great for control and advantage. And the other one I'm going to take is whip, and that's just because I like the flavor of it because we're going to be like a spores druid, and I like the idea of us like whipping people with a huge vine as this like massive barbarian, and it just sounds awesome. We're going to take the farmer background. This one works great for us. We don't have to change anything. We'll put +2 into con and +1 into wisdom. And since our character is going to be really mad, and no, I don't mean barbarian mad, I mean multi-attribute dependent, we're going to go with standard array. And I'm going to go 14 strength, 12 dex. I'll go 15 con +2, an 8 intelligence, a wisdom +1 for a 14, and a 10 charisma. And that feels like it'll work really well for us. But the most important thing, kicking it off, and this new species is really OP for barbarians because it's going to give out 2 extra resistances that we don't get. And I'm going to go ASMR. And now we will always have resistance to necrotic and radiant damage, whether we're raging or not. And that's just so scrummy. We're level 0 and we have 2 resistances already. We also get some really nice utility here. We can fly for a minute at level 3, which seems OP. That's a bit early. We can be a lantern if we need to be, as we can just light up. And that might be useful if we got humans in the party, as we'll be up front trying to get in the mix. And we can always try to frighten people, but the frighten on this is going to totally suck because we have 0 charisma, and it's a charisma save against our spell DC for the frighten is off charisma. And we get a baby heal of D4s, which early is nice, but after that, yeah, Not that big a deal. We're a Druid. We're going to have Cure Wounds and can upcast it if we need heals. So like I said, we're going Barbarian here early, and we will stay here early game. So it's a bit of a stretch to call this one a caster tank, but it's a fun caster Gish or fun caster martial caster. It's a strange build, you'll see. But we're going to start out 5 levels of Barbarian right off the rip. And if you're tanking, this ain't a bad way to go. I mean, right at level 1, we get Rage. We get resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. Put that with our Necrotic and Radiant. I mean, we're off to a good start of resisting all damage. Unarmored defense is nice, but we're not going to use it. We're going to probably use medium armor and a shield the whole time. So not that great for this build. We'll be wearing medium armor, some scale mail, and a shield. Danger Sense is going to be amazing. Having advantage on dex saves is so good. And Reckless Attack is very good too, as our hit will be a bit low, being that we're going to focus on Constitution first. But then at level 3, and here is where the fun starts, we get our subclass, and we are going with the Wild Heart. And this is going to synergize so well with all the other Barbarian abilities and the massive temp HP pool we're going to be getting from a Sports Druid. And we're going to be a bear the whole time, so that now when we rage, with this Rage of the Wild and we pick the bear, we get resistance to every type of damage except Force, Necrotic, Psychic, and Radiant. Not that big a deal for us because we're an ASMR and we already resist Psychic and Radiant. So now we are down to, Necrotic and Radiant. So now the only 2 damages that we don't resist are Force and Psychic. And let's face it, at level 3, that's really low. So feels really good. Only the rarest monsters are going to have Psychic damage for that. So at level 4, we get another Weapon Mastery. I'll grab a Javelin here for a little bit of opening volley if I can't get to someone off the start. And there's so many feats I want. I really want to boost Con up. And Durable is really nice for bonus action heal. Mage Slayer is amazing. Might be able to grab it later. But what I think I want to take early is Speedy. And now that'll give us an extra 10 foot of speed. We can boost our con by 1. And opportunity attacks don't have disadvantage against us. So it's really easy for us to run around the battlefield resisting damage. And if we want to just, slide away from someone, they have disadvantage on opportunity attacks from us. And we have 40 foot of speed. And we're about to get 10 foot more at the next level. So level 5 Barbarian, 2 great things there. We get extra attack and that fast movement I was talking about. So now we're kicking it with 50 speed at level 5, and we're making 2 attacks, and we're just basically a base Barbarian. We're not doing massive damage or anything like that. But all that's about to change. This one comes online a little bit slower than the other 2 that we've done today, but it's really awesome once it does. Level 6, we're going to be a Druid 1, and we get that new pick now between being a Magician or a Warden. And we're going to take Magician because Warden doesn't do anything for us. We already have proficiency with martial weapons. And we're also get to pick some spells. And we're not going to be concentrating on support spells for this build most of the way. But we do get an extra cantrip with that. So pick your favorite. One of them should be Chalets. It's just nice to have. Can be situational, but good to have if we're out of rages. I'd probably grab a Message for some out of combat utility. And I would probably grab Thorn Whip just because I like the flavor of what we're going to be doing. And then for first level spells, I'm going to take Long Strider. It lasts a long time and it's not concentration. And now we can move 60 feet at level 4. I mean, eat your hearts out, monks. And probably take Goodberry as it's a bonus action for us to eat one. And we can still do that while we're raging. We just can't cast a spell while we're raging. And then I'll grab Healing Word. There's no replacement for it. If you need a ranged bonus action heal, we can drop Rage to do that. And then the other one that I'm going to grab is the new Jump spell. And hopefully we can use that before combat starts. And maybe we can get, 30 feet jump by using just 10 foot of our movement. I love mobility, and this character is going to be able to get it. Level 7, we're Druid 2, and we get Wild Shapes. And again, a feature that's normally like the Druid go-to, but we're not going to use these a whole lot. New rules, you only get to pick 4 And I'm going to pick these for utility. I'll pick something that's small, like a mouse or something, for recon, or a cat that's got a little bit of stealth. I'll pick something that can swim, and then I'm going to pick something that can climb, like a spider or whatever. And then I'll take a bear just to stay on point with the flavor that we're going for, being a big, burly druid barbarian. And then for the spell, I'll probably grab Ice Knife for a bit of range attack. And they'll probably pass the save, but it's a little bit of guaranteed damage on the blow up that it does. Our saves are not going to be strong on this character. That's not what we're focusing on. Level 8, we're Druid 3, and as I've said, we're going Spores Druid, and it's time to ramp up the Shroom of Doom. And I like to think that we've picked up some spores in the woods, but we were so resistant that they just couldn't hurt us, so they became part of us. And that's how our barbarian has gotten to this druidic form that he has. We get some spells here, nothing really amazing for what we do, although General Repose can be nice if it's needed. But we do get the awesome Halo of Spores feature, and this is nice because it's going to weaponize a reaction, and it scales like a cantrip. So we get this at level 8, and can just use our reaction to cause necrotic damage to a creature that's 10 feet away from us. They make a con save, and it's 1d6 on a fail. And now, for the wild shape, we will be using Symbiotic Entity. And when we do this, we get 4 temp HP for Druid level, and we also get to double our Halo of Spores damage. So that's really nice. Now it's 2d6 on a reaction, not so bad. And now our attacks deal 1d6 necrotic damage too, once per turn. So it's really cool. We've added a possibility of 3d6 in damage here, and it hasn't cost us any action economy. And then we also get a level 2 spell here, and we will grab Aid as it's concentration free, and it's always good and works really well when you upcast it. And Druid 4, or level 9 will be Druid 4. And let's grab Bark Skin. It lasts for an hour, and it'll give us 17 AC plus our shield, so 19, which is pretty good. And for the feat, let's start boosting that strength. I think I'm going to go straight strength boost here and take that 14 to 16, so we're to hits getting up there. We're getting to where we're not going to be hitting that often, even with our advantage if we don't. And at Druid 5, we get an ability called Wild Resurgence. And this is just nuts for Spores Druids. So the big change for Druid Wild Shape is that now all Druids under the 2024 rules can Wild Shape as a bonus action. And this is why this is going to work for us being just a ridiculously tanky class. Because now it says, on each of our turns, if we have no wild shapes left, we can give ourselves one with free action by burning a spell slot. And this is going to break the game, because here's how this works now. Pre-fight, we're Symbiotic Entity. We get temp HP, we're 4 per level, we get 20 at this point. We get to cast any other buff spells, whatever we got going on. Before the battle starts, Bark Skin, Long Strider, those should both be pretty easy to keep up all the time. First round, we're going to Rage, run in, hit twice, Spore someone. And then if our 20 temp HP is gone, we can use our bonus action to Wild Shape. And when we Wild Shape into a Symbiotic Entity, we get 20 temp HP back. So we can get this temp HP every time we have a bonus action open and we have a Wild Shape or spell slot. That's just going to be nuts. I mean, Druids are full casters. You're going to have plenty of spell slots by the end, and plenty of wild shapes that we will basically, anytime we lose our temp HP pool, drop out a Symbiotic Entity and be able to go back into it in the next round. So we are going to be like a massive HP sponge. We also get an awesome little help from our Spore spell list here, and that is we get Animate Dead, and now we can just be a big old mushroom monster out there with a handful of skeletons clogging up the battlefield and helping us tank. And this is going to be a nightmare for the DM to run. If I run some creatures as a player, I try to keep it to 2 to 3. Don't I'm going to have 23 skeletons. That's just annoying. It's like every monster you fight's going to have a fireball if you do that. So, but we will be a really tanky turd. We resist all damage except Force and Psychic. We got a 20 temp HP pool, and that's going to keep going up as we take Druid levels. And at this level, we also get third level spells. Man, level 5 for a Spores Druid now is just nutso. And we're going to grab utility spells only because, like I said, we can't concentrate while we're raging. And I really like that resistance because it lets us stay in that symbiotic entity. And so I'm going to take water breathing. It's not a big deal till you need it. And then, of course, I'll take Revivify. It's nice to have in case, people die. If we haven't done our job and, people got up there and got killed, we can bring them back, and that'll fix it. Level 11 will be a Druid 6. For the spell, I'll just grab Water Walk. It's good to have if there's lava or quick stand, stuff like that. But now we also get an ability called Fungal Infestation. We can now use a reaction to reanimate a medium or smaller creature, and it gives us a zombie with 1 HP. It follows our commands, free action, and it takes its turn immediately after us. The only thing that it can do, though, is attack. So you basically just get to a little 1 HP zombie minion to go with your skeletons to attack. And you can only do this wisdom mods per day. And sadly, for a druid, we aren't that wise. But man, we are hard to kill. Level 12 will be a Druid 7. And we get the new Elemental Fury feature here. And we're going to pick Primal Strike. And so now we get to add an extra D8 one time per turn when we hit with an attack roll. We also get 4th level spells here, and I'm going to take Fire Shield, and hopefully we can cast that before we rage. Obviously we will, because we can't cast it after we rage. But before the battle starts, it lasts for 10 minutes, and then if we get hit with a melee attack, we deal 2d8 fire or ice damage, depending on if we pick the hot or cold one. And so let's just check out what we're doing now damage-wise. We have a good little bit of stuff going on. We've probably got 3 skeletons running around. They don't do a lot of damage, but if you get lucky rolls, they could add extra 3d6 in. Not going to count on that, but it's still there. We most likely have 3 or 4 of those when each one starts. We have a fire shield, and we have a rage. Give us an extra 2 on each of our attacks for that. And then, it'll be 2d8s for our normal attacks, plus our 3 strength mod, plus 4 more for our rage damage. And then we get a d8 from our primal strike. We can spores people for 2d8. They went up when we hit level 10. I forgot to mention that. And when we hit level 14, they'll go to a d10 instead of a d8. So that's nice. So that's another 2d8. And we have 19 armor class. We're taking half damage from everything but Psychic Force. And we have 47 HP and 28 temp HP on top of that. And we get that back every single round. We have 11 spell slots right now. If we cast Longstrider, Barkskin, Fire Shield, that's 3 off. We have 8 spell slots and 3 wild shapes at this point, and we get a wild shape back at a short rest. There is no way that we can't stay in Symbiotic Entity for the entirety of every fight. At level 13, we're going to be a Druid 8, and let's boost that Wisdom to 16. Helps with the saves, and it lets us do more Druid stuff with our spores. And that other 4th level spell you get here, just pick your favorite. I'm a bit torn on the next level. Barbarian, you get some nice stuff there. But staying Druid for that temp HP in our fungal form is probably the most beneficial thing, so we're going to stay Druid for now. At level 14 will be a Druid 9. We get 5th level spell slots. I'm going to grab up Mass Cure Wounds as a, oh heck, I didn't do my job, and we can always drop Rage if we need to, heal the party, and depending on who the party has and what's in it, we might also need some other support spells. I'm going to take Greater Restoration for the same reason. It's just good support to have when you need it. Level 15 will be a Druid 10. We'll probably grab up Cone of Cold, some big damage spell just in case we want it. Pick what you like here. And we also get an interesting ability where we get an AoE bonus action, Halo of Spores. And it can be cast within 30 feet and it does a 10-foot cube. Only thing is, we can't use our reaction for that if that is up. So we can't put that spores out and then Halo Spore someone again. So you have to kind of pick. If you got a bunch of people grouped up, the 10-foot cube is a pretty good area. You grab a handful of them with it. Probably go ahead and use the bonus action for that. Level 16, we're Druid 11, and we get 6 level spells here, and we're definitely taking Hero's Feast. It's awesome. We'll always use this. It's 2d10 extra HP for the entire party. It's just an amazing spell. Can't be feared or charmed. Hooray. so good. If you get the option to take it, somebody in the party should have it. Level 17, we're Druid 12, and you can just pick whatever spells you want. You're fully prepared list. You can change them out as need be. So most likely what I'm doing my spells right now, 6th level spell, I'm casting Hero's Feast at the start of the day. It lasts for 24 hours, and I'm casting a 5th level aid. I'm casting a Long Strider. I'm casting a Bark Skin. And I'm casting a Fire Shield before battles start. And if I get the option, I might cast a jump spell too. So I'm using, half my spell slots. And then that still leaves me plenty of stuff. I have 4 wild shapes at this point and 5, 6 other spell slots left. There's almost no chance of us running through all our temp HP. Because our temp HP at this point is 48 per time that we go Symbiotic Entity. And being it's Druid 12, we also get a feat. And here, I'm going to boost our Wisdom by 1 to a 17. I'm going to take a half feat, and that's going to give us Resilient Wisdom so that we have proficiency in our Wisdom save now. Honestly, probably should have took this instead of boosting Wisdom by 2 earlier. Swap those 2 out, but hey, it's what we got. It's level 20 build out. But now, we need to go back to Barbarian so that we can grab an Epic Boon when we get a feat at 19 or 20. So at 18, we're going to be a Barbarian 6, and we get Aspect of the Wild from our subclass, and we can become an Owl, a Panther, or a Salmon, and we can change each of those at a long rest. Owl gives you extra dark vision, Panther gives you climb, probably what I'm using the most, and unless I know there's water around, and then Aspect of the Salmon gives you a swim speed equal to your movement speed. Good to have in a pinch, but you can change it at a long rest. At level 19, we're a Barbarian 7, and we get Feral Instincts. We now have advantage on initiative rolls. And we also get Instinctive Pounce that lets us move half our speed, which will be 50 or 60 feet, depending on if we have Long Strider up, each time that we cast a raid. Would have been nice to have earlier, but, we have great speed already. Not that big a deal. And then, capping it out, level 20, and we get an Epic Boon because we're a Barbarian 8. And since I'm going for the total resistance build, I'm taking the Boon of Resistance. And now we get to pick 2, one of which will be Psychic. And now we resist every damage except Force. And I think that is just so cool. And I would pick the other one based on the campaign. If it was Undead, I'd pick Necrotic. Or if it was, Devils, I'd pick Fire. Because we also get an ability called Energy Redirection. And this lets us absorb that energy and put it back on somebody to the tune of 2d12 plus our con mod, which is pretty cool. And it's also on a Constitution saving throw, which is nice because we got, good con at 18. And we get to boost 1 stat by 1, and we're going to make our Wisdom 18, so it's nice and evened out. And so let's check out how we turned out with this build. We ended up with a 19 armor class with our Bark Skin on. That's low, but like I said, that's not including any magical shields or armor. We have 60 foot of speed with Long Strider on. We have 241 HP, and then we'll be casting Hero's Feast for an extra 11, and we will have a 5th level aid on us for 20 more HP. And then each time we go Symbiotic Entity, it'll be 48 temp HP. So that's 272 plus 48 for a nice 320. And each time that we run out of temp HP, we can use a bonus action to basically heal ourselves for 48 more. It's just nuts. And this is not even accounting for the fact that we should probably, have magic armor. We should have shields. We might have, something that, boost our health by a little bit. We could easily have 20 or 21 AC with, some good gear here. And if you have a really, really cool DM, maybe they have given us a Ring of Force Resistance, and we're only going to be taking half damage from every type of damage in the game. Well, folks, that's it for this episode of Dragons and Dice. I hope you enjoyed the 3 tanky caster builds, even though the last one doesn't really cast that many spells. But, as always, thank you all so much for tuning in and spending your time with me, listening to me go on about D&D. And if you don't mind, please leave us a like and a follow, and comments would help greatly. as this new show, and we're trying to get her kicked off the ground and get her moving good. So I appreciate all you do for us. Until next time, may your D20s roll high, may your DMs be kind. Bye.